let's do one more. Let's go to number 148. It's one we don't sing very often, but it's Let Freedom Span Both East and West. And it's harmonies by Harry Burleigh, who's a famous African-American hymn composer.
Good morning, and welcome to the Community Church of Chapel Hill Unitarian Universalist. I'm Bill Rote, a member of the Worship Associates Ministry here at the church, and our minister is Reverend Thom Belote. I especially want to welcome any visitors or newcomers to our church and call your attention to the special note for you, welcome guests and newcomers, on the back side of the order of service. I would also like to thank those of you attending online and note that the hymn lyrics and all the elements and texts of the service will be displayed on the live stream screen. For a complete order of service, including weekly announcements, schedule, and upcoming events, the link is in the morning's email and on the church's homepage. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived at this beloved place, you are welcome here. I'd like to mention a few things to keep in mind. As of January 8th, the church is making an adjustment to the masking policy. The first service will be mask mandatory. The second service will be mask optional. We hope you will attend the service that accommodates your personal masking choices. Masking will still be mandatory for all RE programs and those participating at this time. The in-person social hour in the Jones Building and the Cass Courtyard remain mask optional, as are all other outdoor spaces. Thank you for all you continue to do to make our congregation welcoming to those with fragile and compromised immunity. The in-person Sunday social with the new member reception will be held immediately following the service. There will be no online social today due to the new member recognition. Please turn off or silence any cell phones during our service to maintain a worshipful experience. The first within these walls today is for the annual pledge drive. This month, different church members will come to the pulpit to share with you about what the church means to them or remind you why we should support our community. Last week, the community church singers performed Across the Universe. There were more people commenting on how they enjoyed that song and how wonderful it was. Glenn did a great job of leading us. He's wonderful with all the musical presentations that we have that he coordinates. We all agree we are so thrilled he's on our staff. The religious education folks have had a couple of recent get-togethers. One was a bowling adventure and the other a family dinner here at the church. There were about 60 or 70 folks present at each. This month, they are leading our Special Buddies program, and mine, Ellis Good, is here with us, to get more adults involved with the children in our church. Marion and Kat create such a great place for the youth. We get weekly announcements, monthly newsletters with current events sent to our computers. Our guests are warmly welcomed to the church in the Commons. Rachel herds a lot of cats to get everything done to keep us informed, organized, and help us be a welcoming community. We give our money during the Sunday services or maybe monthly online. We have our office equipment serviced, supplies kept on hand properly, and our bills paid in a timely manner. Harrison is the administrator of the office here. And our staff is guided in their work, and our congregation is led by our minister, Thom. Our spiritual needs as a community are encouraged, enhanced, and edified by our minister. Each of us have programs, classes, lessons, and varied ministries we partake of here. Each of us are ministered to in ways we need. I can't say what is most important to you. Only you know that. However, I do know that this only happens with the support of each of you. Please see our board members tabling today after the service to find out how to make your pledge of support, or if you prefer, go online to support our community with your pledge there. Please remember, we are responsible to make sure the ministry of this church is carried out for one another in our greater community. Now, our next within these walls is for our Community Day of Service. This year's theme will be Match Madness. And as you all know, I couldn't get up here without a little flair for the Community Day of Service. Leanne King is going to give you a little more information. Thanks.
teammates.
We're here to invite you to share your good energy on March 4th at the Community Church's Annual Day of Service.
This year's theme is March Madness, and we need your help making this a slam dunk. If you haven't participated before, the Day of Service is an amazing day. It's an opportunity to live our church's mission by volunteering our loving hearts and our helping hands within our community. Kids and adults, we all rise when our team scores.
So let's get ready for the madness. There are 14 different volunteer opportunities this year. If you're crafty, like serving food and making sure people are nourished, or cleaning up our environment, there are multiple ways to find your shot. And to celebrate our community church bringing the energy, there will be food, music, and fellowship. Please help us make this a slam dunk by signing up. You can do it online through the church's website, or you can join us at the March Madness table during coffee hour. So let's jump higher.
Our call to worship this morning is titled Come Down Off the Ladder by David Blanchard. Come down off the ladder. Wash out that paintbrush. Shake the sand out of your shoes. Get up off your muddy knees and give the garden the morning off. Fold up the newspaper. Turn off the coffee pot. Close up your calendar already filled with dates and times and people and places that claim you. The church is ready for you to fill its rooms, to create its spirit, to generate its warmth, to kindle the light. The church is ready for you to make community, to create beauty, to bend it towards justice, to serve its ideals. The church is ready for you to be here, honoring our past, invigorating our present, and dreaming our future. This is your church. Here we are home. Here we are home. Let us begin. Come, let us worship together. And the words to the chalice lighting are in your order of service. As my special buddy Ellis Good lights the chalice, would you join me in reading those words? This is what we do with our faith. Live in this world knowing that we will lose each other, loving despite the hard bargain it demands of us, doing what we can so that truth may be safely lived, measuring our faith by the difference we have made, building up faith communities to continue after we are gone. And if you would join us, stand as you are willing or able, and join us at the opening hymn, number 128, For All That Is Our Life.
At this time, we are going to honor those who within the past several months have made the decision to become members of this church community. Each of the persons whose names Rachel is about to call meets the requirements for membership in our church. They've taken the Exploring Membership class and understand the rights and responsibilities and expectations of membership. And so as new members, as Rachel calls your name, if you're here at this service, obviously if you're here at the next service, don't come up at this service, but if you're here at this service, we invite you to, when you hear your name called, to come forward and stand across the stage.
Helen Johnson, Ryan Siebens, Jenny DeLoach, Allison Hope Jesse, Kay Stewart, Dave Kravitz, Ellen Wilkes, Chris Holbein, Shannon Tileman, Peggy Cohn, Aaron Gottschalk, Chris Lilly, Kyle Terrell, Annie Huntley.
On behalf of the Welcome Ministry, it is a joy to welcome you into this community of memory and hope. Each time we welcome a new member, we become something new. So we ask you, as our newest members, will you promise to walk together with us, sharing the joys and the responsibilities of membership? If so, please say we will. Members of where are we, Rachel? Members of the Community Church of Chapel Hill Unitarian Universalist, will you welcome these people into our congregation? Will you reach out to them in friendship, including them in our activities and fellowship? Will you be open to their unique gifts and perspectives? Will you extend a warm welcome to each of them, remembering that each of us was once a new member? If so, please say we will. Okay.
Becoming a member of this church is an important first step, but it's only a first step. I charge you new members to grow in your faith, but more importantly, I charge you to find and share your special gifts with us. Ours is a shared ministry. Each of us has a crucial role to play. We need you. We need your energy, we need your ideas, and as you give generously of yourselves, we all become richer.
So now what's going to happen is that Rachel is going to move down the line and present each of you with a chalice pin so that you can wear your faith on your sleeve or somewhere else. Ellie and I will each follow, offering you an enthusiastic handshake and I guess, and a special surprise as well. And then once we've made it all the way down, please remain up so we can clap for you.
Freely have we received gifts that minister to our needs of body and spirit. Gladly we bring to our church and its wide concerns a portion of this bounty. If you wish to donate online, the information is on the church's website. There is also a QR code on the back of your order of service if you choose to use that. We will now receive the morning offering.
In case you haven't figured it out yet, the people who played that wonderful piece are Ariadna, our church pianist, and her dad, Raul, and her son. So, and now Raul is, I was just, yeah, so you can clap again, sure. And Raul has become a member of our choir as well, and is going to do So when he's going to be speaking Spanish at the beginning, and the translation is actually in the song. So that's what I'll let you know. When you hear, if you don't understand what he's saying at the beginning, listen to the choir, and it will become clear.
Un lugar, un hogar, nuestro hogar, un lugar que podamos llamar el nuestro, hacer el nuestro, un lugar para vivir, crecer y ser, un pedazo de lo nuestro que compartimos con el mundo, un trozo de nuestros corazones que traemos a la comunidad, un mundo de consuelo y un mundo de calma, un mundo de amor, of love.
So each week we hold in our service a time for sharing the joys and the sorrows that we bring with us into this church community. It's during this time, if you've come with either a significant personal joy or a significant sorrow this morning, you're invited to come forward, place a stone in the bowl, and briefly, in a sentence or two, share your joy or your sorrow. Let us enter into this time of tenderness and trust. Are there any joys and sorrows this morning?
Good morning, I'm Lisa Epner, and my joy today is that last night my daughter came and visited me, and she brought me this fantastic item that she sewed to fit into my scooter basket because she was tired of me losing all my things through the holes here. And yeah, my joy is her. She's just, not always, but most of the time, a joy. Thank you.
My name is Thaddeus, and this is for a friend, Jean Marie, who's going to be losing her leg in the next week or two.
I'm Mary Hewlett, and I have been asking for blessings for my sister for the last 6 years as she has battled stage 4 breast cancer. She lost the fight last Sunday. My joy is that I was able to be with her for the last week, along with her partner. My sorrow is that her partner is having a very hard time. They were together for 50 years. He also is diabetic and has an infected toe. So I really ask that you keep Bob in your hearts and prayers. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Melva Oken, and I wanted to share the joy of watching my 8-year-old grandson, who thinks he's Michael Jordan, finally make his first basket in a game.
I invite you to join with me in a few moments of prayer and meditation. For all that is our lives, for all that is our lives, for the joy that children and grandchildren bring to us, for the love that we share with friends and family, for the service that we bring to each other and to the world and to our community. And for endings, for family and friends. Who die and pass on. Amidst all of the cycles of life, amidst all that gives us meaning, and joy and gladness. For all of these things, for all of these things, we give thanks and we hold ourselves and each other in our hearts. I invite you to join with me in a few moments of stillness. Amen. Blessed be. So last month, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, one of our spiritual sources, published the results of a survey. They asked Americans about the places that make us happiest and that we find most meaningful, and about the activities that make us happiest and that we find most meaningful. And they asked which jobs give us the most happiness and the greatest sense of meaning. And I'm not going to keep you in suspense about the survey results. Topping the list as both America's happiest and most meaningful place was church, places of worship. Churches and other places of worship ranked ahead of outdoors and nature, ahead of restaurants and bars, ahead of the gym, and even ahead of our friends' homes in measures of both happiness and meaning. Similarly, when Americans were asked about activities that make us happy and give us a sense of meaning, we answered that participating in religious and spiritual activities give us the highest levels of happiness and the most meaning. Religious and spiritual activities ranked ahead of sports. Sorry, UNC Duke game. And recreation, ahead of travel, ahead of eating and drinking, and ahead of volunteering in a non-religious setting in terms of both the happiness that these activities conferred and in terms of the sense of meaning they provided. And you may be interested in the findings of the other question the survey asked: which job Americans find most meaningful and make us happiest? America's happiest job is? No, not minister, it's actually lumberjack. Well, forestry and logging. Shout out to Bruce Payden. But I think the results of this study shine a light on why Andy Henke and Chris Wilkes were so enthusiastic about coming out with chainsaws to remove that fallen tree from my smashed car. I mean, if church is America's happiest place and lumberjack is America's happiest job, then being a lumberjack at church must be this experience of indescribable joy and unsurmountable bliss. No comment on where being a religious professional ranked in the survey. Let's just say that the not last shall also be not first. But I want you to consider this paradox. According to this study, Americans rank places of worship as the place where they find the most happiness and meaning, and they rank religious and spiritual activities highest in measures of happiness and meaningfulness. But at the same time, every study of American religious life shows that religious participation is in steep decline. Isn't that interesting? Linda Thompson sent me a piece from The Guardian this week. I told you it would wind up in a sermon. The story, Losing Their Religion, Why U.S. Churches Are on the Decline, painted a bleak picture of church closures, dwindling attendance, and declining participation in religious communities. I've read over the past several years story after story and seen study after study that paints a dismal picture for religious institutions. Stories about how pews are emptying and members are drifting away and young people aren't interested and mainline denominations are hemorrhaging members and clergy are burned out and despondent and joining the Great Resignation in ever-rising numbers. So what happens when we juxtapose the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics survey with all those other stories and studies? The happiest place and the most meaningful activity, and in precipitous decline due to lack of interest. Reminds me sort of that old Yogi Berra line about the restaurant. Nobody goes there anymore, it's just too crowded. Except not. So in the time remaining this morning, I want to talk about three different things. First, I want to talk a little bit about how our church is bucking these trends of decline and is actually finding a way to flourish. Second, I want to explore this paradox, and I think it is a paradox, of declining interest in what people say gives them the greatest sense of happiness and meaning. And finally, I want to leave us with a few words of challenge. Back in October, I got an email from a seminarian studying for the ministry at Meadville Lombard Theological School. The seminarian introduced herself and asked if there was any chance our church would consider offering an internship in the coming church year. I wrote back and asked, "Why are you interested in an internship here?" And she wrote back, "Because your church actually seems to be alive and vital and joyful." And she didn't say it, but I will, in comparison with others that I have noticed. She wrote, quote, "The music made me smile and sing along, the worship leaders seemed relaxed and happy, and people laughed a lot." And she continues, "As I dug a little deeper, I learned that you do 2 services, and you have a campus ministry, and your social justice work is meaningful and impactful and real." And I wrote back, "Thank you for writing my stewardship sermon." I didn't write that, but I did continue to have conversations with this seminarian, and we should have a very cool and exciting announcement coming up a little bit later this spring. This time last year, I was on sabbatical. A sabbatical, by the way, made possible by your commitment and health and generosity and trust. And when I came back from the 3-month sabbatical, I figured that the year ahead should be a year of saying yes to things and experimenting, and why hold anything back? So, since last summer, I've been indulging my playful side and indulging my fantasies this year. Let's have a worship service with Carol Parker's brilliant dance and Dorothy Wright's Tai Chi and a visit from my buddy, the Olympic weightlifter. Remember that? And let's have a worship service with lavender packets to sniff and fall apples to nibble on. And sure, I will dress up like a masked professional wrestler and body slam a board member on stage during the musical. Every minister's fantasy. And sure, I'll get a blue mohawk haircut. You don't have to twist my arm. And let's have microscopes and telescopes in the worship service. And you've been saying yes to what's possible this year. Let's bring back the church musical after 3 years. Let's bring back the greening and the chili supper after 3 years. Let's bring the children's pageant back into the sanctuary. Let's continue to invite asylum seekers to live in the manse. Let's offer our whole lives for adults over 50. Let's inspire the youth of this church into religious leadership and then gleefully ordain them into ministry. Let's hold a day of service again. It's this yes that we've been practicing, this approach with open-mindedness and open-heartedness and trust, that makes our community so vital and will continue to serve us well. It means an openness, and the openness isn't just to fun things. It's an openness that also means a willingness to learn hard things and to stretch ourselves where we're uncomfortable and to challenge ourselves to do bold, wholehearted ministry with each other. And so I say, let's imagine doing bold things and then do things that are 10 times bolder than we can even imagine. I believe the survey results from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, one of our sacred sources, that church is a place where we find the most happiness and make the most meaning. If I didn't believe that, if I didn't know that, I'd be doing something else. And I believe the studies and stories about the dramatic decline in religious participation. I've looked out into the religious landscape in this country and in our movement and seen it. And so here is what I think might be going on with this paradox. The happiness and the meaning that we are about creating in church is a happiness and meaning that is grounded in community, grounded in a special kind of rare community where we're of different ages and different life experiences and different socioeconomic levels and different backgrounds. We cheer each other on through good times and challenging times. But it's also grounded in what's possible through the discipline of time, of spending time working on our community and working on ourselves. It is a kind of happiness and meaning that is found in being witness to each other's milestones and to each other's deepest pains. There's that joy of seeing the child cast as baby Jesus in the pageant give their coming of age credo and then rise up out of high school and then to have their parent place a stone and celebrate the joy of a new grandchild. There's deep meaning in coming together to grieve and to celebrate a life that has ended. A beloved member who may have been the first person to greet us when we came to church. Or a beloved minister who made a difference in our lives. There's some happiness and meaning to be found every Sunday and every week. But the depth of that happiness and the depth of that meaning only really comes from practice and presence and participation. It's something that we build and grow over time, and it takes time. It just takes time. It deepens over time, and it sweetens over time. And there is no substitute for it. So here is my challenge, and it's a twofold challenge, because this is the day in which our pledge drive kicks off, my first challenge is to actually respond. The goal is that we'll have it all wrapped up by when we come together on March 4th, and that we'll be able to have our day of service and rejoice with joy over the end of our pledge drive. And it's always a bit of a faith coming with this. So my faith is this, is that if everybody in the church, everybody who participates in the life of our community, everybody who's here gives what they can give, gives as generously as they can give, as generously as they feel inspired to give, then we will be able to celebrate a great success at the end, as we've done each and every year. This will be my 9th pledge drive with you, and we've had 8 celebrations, and we're going to have a 9th this year. But my challenge is also this. If you have found joy and wonder and happiness and playfulness and the boldness of service, continue to find that. Now is the time to be bolder than we've dreamed of being. Now is the time to rise and see what's really possible, because we're building on such excellent and blessed and joyful foundations. That's my non-guilt trip pledge message for this year. And let us join in singing our closing hymn. It is a joyful one. It's number 131, Love Will Guide Us. And I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and sing out.
Please remain standing in body or spirit. The words for extinguishing the chalice are in your order of service. And as my special buddy, Ellis Good, comes up to extinguish the chalice, please join me if you wish to do so. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Let's thank all who contributed to making our service worshipful this morning, and welcome our new members. In keeping with our COVID protocols, if we prefer not to hold hands during the singing of Shalom, just cross your hands over your chest. If you're comfortable holding hands of those around you, indicate by putting your hands out to either side. Now please join us in singing Shalom and join us in the coffee hour.